Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Karen Mikowski, aka Butterfly Karen. Welcome. I'm also the leading parapsychological investigator on any of my cases, paranormal parapsychology. Okay, so this evening, tonight, I'm going to be doing a real-time remote viewing session. I'm going to be working on a cold case, and this is the case of Madeleine McCann. It's going to be case CCMP71. Now, problem with this case is I remember it's been like almost 17 years, I believe, when she went missing. Well, they've always played the narrative that this little girl was abducted when she was in they were holidaying in Portugal. I don't really want to go into the two bits to the nitty-gritty, because you can, if you want to Google Madeleine McCann, you can even watch the Netflix documentary, but I'm not really interested in external sources or anything when it comes to any sort of missing person cases. I really like to go to the energy. I've always had a problem with this case, even back then when she first went missing. I read energy. So I remember back then watching the people, the group of friends, the parents and everything. I'm really focused on body language and reading energy. And I knew instantly there was something very wrong with that case. But as you know, as we know now, over the years, anybody that sort of like tries to speak out about it or really sort of like delves into it, obviously they're classed as conspiracy theorists, because you're talking about extremely important people that are in the political game. Some of the people that they're influenced and connected to, right down to the Masons and everything. You've got to understand, when you're talking about Operation Grange, you're talking like millions of pounds just to go into this investigation. I've always called it a diversional investigation anyway. So that's, to me, that's my personal opinion now. But, you've got to be very careful with this case, because a lot of people get really sort of targeted when they call out the truth. There's a lot of people that have investigated this case over the past like 15, 16, it's really like 17 years since she went missing. But it's been a weird, I don't like this case. I've never liked it. It's stench of corruption from day one. It's stench of something's wrong with it. And when you have certain types of people that are connected to certain types of people and cults and stuff like that, and again, important people in the political arena, and too many people involved in that case. Too many way. It was a weird case. It was just, I never bought into it at all, and it was just too tainted, and it just became corrupted. That's what I personally believe. And obviously, over the year, there's just so many red flags with that case, and you don't even need to be a top investigator to really sort of delve into that. And I'll tell you what really bothered me more than anything is the moment the British got involved in like this Operation Grange and all that kind of crap, right? I didn't like the idea of the investigator, the detective on that case. He was a career detective, and he pretty much had his career and everything ruined because of those people. So, because of that case, and because of who knew who, it's always bothered me. I didn't really want, and I kind of knew, even back then when I sort of tapped into the energy, I knew straight away she was not with us. She was not alive. So, but you've got to understand, they've always played this abduction card, and it's just been nothing but one big lie. It's been a big lie from start to finish. Now, I just didn't like that in-group at all. I didn't like, it's bad enough that they were just neglectful parents, right? They could have just been honest and everything from day one, whatever. There was just too many lies. And unfortunately, when you got too many people trying to keep one lie going, it never works, and it just doesn't work out. Lies always come to, the truth will always out. It's as simple as that. Now, it's a time I'm feeling like, well, I was connected to Madeleine's energy about believe it was like 3 days ago, and I was, and I just felt like I needed to connect. And again, I don't really necessarily choose these cases. If I wanted to work on Madeleine's case, I would have done this years ago. But it's just it's tainted. It's just tainted with too many liars, and there's just so many red flags and too much wrong with that case. And again, reading body language, you can pretty much, if you know how to read energy as well, energy, people lie, energy doesn't lie. So I remember even back then, sort of watching and reading the energy of their friends, that friend group, like there's something very wrong with those people. And secondly, I mean, just a few days ago, like I say, I was connected to Madeleine's energy, and energy was, the first thing I heard was, friends that lie together will commit crimes together. So that was really weird, actually. I'm going to be, I don't like this case. Friends that lie together will commit crimes together. Yeah, when it comes down to children, and all bets are off, I don't care. I don't care if you've got a group of friends that likes to lie and, whatever. I don't care. But when it comes to children, hell no. They're very neglectful people. They were just neglectful parents, obviously, because, the fact that you're all they just wanted to get pissed every night, basically. They just wanted to get drunk, eat and socialise and all that kind, because they're on holiday, and I know what Brits are like. So, now, again, because of their professional positions and everything, they had a lot to lose. So it just felt like it was just easier at the time to lie in the hurt, but something was wrong with it. So, and again, because there's so many people involved in this case, trying to keep it from being, I'm not being funny, in this day and age with the technology we've got, etc., that case could have been pretty much solved years ago. But there is too many people involved keeping this case closed. Like, not closing, sorry. It's impossible not to crack this case. It's not rocket science at all. But again, because when you have too many people involved in keeping it from closing, that's the reason why. Now, also, if you really wanted to go down the rabbit hole and do a deep dive, you would learn quite quickly that the set of Operation Grange really delved into scapegoats. I mean, again, they ruined the career of a career detective and everything. I mean, I found that disgusting, absolutely disgusting, what they did to that detective, that Portuguese detective. Even back then, and again, the German paedophile, right? Well, he's in prison right now, but they're trying to blame him. They're trying to use him. It's just another scapegoat. Even when you look at the evidence and what the investigative, when he really said to do a deep dive, he wasn't even in the area. He lived in Portugal, but he wasn't in the area at the time she went missing. There's something wrong with the timeline. When I was connected 3 days ago, let me just look the time and date, because I'm already, before I sort of delve in, it's Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. So I'm going to clock in 8:10. It's just a very rough on one. 2nd, 25. So yeah, it was, but yeah, it was like, I believe it was the 27th, because I was just sort of connecting. Well, I was getting the hit to connect to a frequency, and I thought, well, I'll just let it come in over the few days. But there was just little things coming out, like, friends that lie together will commit crimes together. Not all, but just it's just dodgy. There's something going on. Do you know what it felt like when I was connected and talking, like, even I'm connected to Madeleine's frequency, I'm connected to energies with her. So there's something with that. And the reason why I'm focusing on the friend group is because one of those friends is about to, what, I don't know which one of those friends, and even right down to like, I found it quite, the fact that there was one friend in the group who apparently saw a description, even was able to do a basic description of a man carrying a child. Well, they never found that guy. That was just like, really, you know, even most people didn't even buy that. Very convenient, put it that way. But the energy was telling me the timeline's wrong. Like the so-called day and time that she was supposed to have been abducted. No, it's like 24. She was not, I don't believe she was abducted at all, but energy left this planet, right? Let's just go with the energy. That energy left the planet like 24 hours before. It was like at least a day before. There's something wrong with the timeline. The timeline is off. Now there's a lot of like speculation out there. There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of, you know, right down to they used to just sedate the kids so they could go out and get full. A lot of parents do stuff like that, Calpol and things like that. But they were doctors, so they could. It wouldn't have been hard for them, would it, to sort of sedate the kids? And there's a lot of evidence to back that up, that the kids were sedated, especially the twins, apparently, that they slept right through the whole. First of all, secondly, the problem with that case is far too many people in that speculative, you know. What happened to Madeleine happened in that apartment. So I can't say exactly what. Well, yeah, I've got an idea, but can't prove it. So, but what I was seeing was, it's like it was weird because I was seeing like the day before when I was sort of connected, I kept seeing black trash bags. And then this is why I felt like there's something wrong with the timeline. It was like there was a cleanup like the day before. Now I couldn't see who was doing the cleanup or anything like that. I was just sort of seeing movement, and then I was just sort of seeing flashes of like black trash bags, and it wouldn't have looked unusual for people to just be taking out the trash. Do you know, there's something wrong with that whole. There's just something wrong with it. I'm intrigued to know if the church. This is why I don't like. This is why I'm very suspicious about people who claim to be religious people, because of when you connect into energy, it's a complete contradiction. It's a complete opposite, and I don't like it. But this is just their energies. I'm going to be connecting to their energies purely through Madeleine. And the energies that are with Madeleine, they are the ones connecting to the frequencies of those other people. But again, I was reading the in-group. I'm just going to call them the in-group, because there's something wrong with that friendship group. I feel like the energy was, the other day I was saying, somebody in that friend group is about to slip up or tell the truth. Like something's coming from that. I don't know. I feel like when I was getting from that energy was this particular person isn't sleeping well at night because of the lie. But I'm going to refocus when I connect again and tap in. I'm obviously going to connect to the Guardians, and I'm just going to see if we can get anything else on that. But there's a lot of. I just felt like there was somebody was just like, look. Oh, excuse me. A lot of pressure. Like I don't know. It's like they're not sleeping well at night. When you understand who these people are connected to, you know, I'm intrigued to know what memberships they're paying to, which will determine how much influence they've got and protection, to continue to keep the narrative going. The fact that millions of pounds have been been used for the investigation into one case, one child, because of the people who are involved, that screams major, something very wrong with that case. And that also tells you that if you've got money, connections, and power and all that kind of crap, you can pretty much get a lot of influence, and you can keep Madeleine's sort of face out there and everything and keep the investigation going. But it also tells you that if you don't have money or political influence or anything like that, yeah, you can. Nobody's looking for your child. It's all about who you know. So I hated it just for that reason. I learned back then. I've hated this case for so many reasons because there's something wrong with it. And I didn't really want to sort of connect. I didn't really want to touch this case at all because we're never going to really get the truth unless one person speaks out. It feels like one person's going to start. I don't know. There's something wrong with well, it doesn't hurt to have a conscience, does it? You know, better late than never. But it almost felt like the can't keep living with the lie. The problem with lying and creating a lie, right? You've got to keep it going. And eventually you're going to have to continue to lie and add another lie to the line and another lie, another layer of the lies and another layer of the, and before you know it, it's all going to, you can't, there's no such thing as keeping a lie going for too long. It will inevitably and eventually, the truth always comes out. It's as simple as that. But it felt like back then, it's like the lie was created to save face or because of the reputations or what they could lose, to try and, hopefully keep it all under the radar. Well, the complete opposite effect happened to that anyway. So, but then again, you have to understand just how much publicity this case has got and how much money is being, all kinds of, I don't know, it's just weird. I don't like this case at all. I've never liked it. I don't like, and again, there's something very culty going on. So that could have something to do with who the people are sort of, who they're all interconnected with. There's a real weird cult about this whole, felt that years ago. I don't care about shaming cults. I don't care. Anything to do with secret cults and stuff, no, can't stand them for a reason. Because there's too many lies involved in them. There's too much going on. There's too much secretive stuff. Too much done in the shadows. Too much done in the darkness, but it doesn't matter because the light will always shine on the darkness at some point. The truth always comes out. But and it's weird as well because when I was sort of connected the other day to Madeleine, it's weird. It's like, it's a weird energy. I'd be intrigued to know in that church if cremations take place there. That's what I was getting like a few days ago. So, but then at the same time, I was seeing water because I was seeing these trash bags and I was seeing like somebody taking out trash. And I thought, okay, weird. But nobody would, again, just if you were taking out the trash, nobody would really think twice about that. But then you've got to ask yourself what was in the trash bags. Obviously, if there was a cleanup done like the day before. Because there's something wrong with the timeline. I know that much. So even back then, when nothing made clear sense. The only angle they all played was she was abducted. How would you know that unless it was investigated? And when you're talking about a career detective on the case at the time, he came in and he knew immediately it wasn't an abduction, and he knew there was something else wrong with it. He knew there was something wrong, and he's going to go with his intuition and everything, and his obviously skilled mind and his experience, and he knew there was something wrong. So, but again, because of it's who you know and who's involved and who's taken over the case. He ended up. Well, he was one of the first, and then other people just random people trying to help out. They were suddenly under investigation, scapegoats. When people are literally looking for scapegoats, when knowing full well there's no evidence to back up the claims you're making against innocent people, you've got a major problem. You've got serious corruption going on. It's as simple as that. And then you're dealing with a great lie. But yeah, so I was seeing these sort of trash bags, and then it was weird because then I was sort of seeing the ocean, and then I was seeing water, and I remember thinking, God, I feel like I'm in the ocean. I'm not saying it was Madeleine's energy or anything like that. It's just I was in the ocean, and it was dark, and I thought, I can't see, but I knew I was in the water. I'm not saying she's in the ocean, and she could be somewhere. If I'm not saying she is, because I can't prove it, because there's no body, obviously, which can also help keep a great lie going. But if she has been buried, I'm wondering, because where I was sort of standing was, let me just go back to the visual, because actually my dimensional doors, I'm going to go back, I'm going to jump the timeline, I'm going to go back into the past. I want to reconnect to that timeline again of what I was seeing, which was sort of weird, because it was like the day before. It didn't make sense. And because it was weird, because I was sort of seeing these bags, and I don't know, it was weird. And then there was calm, but then all of a sudden all hell broke loose. But even just going back to that past timeline, everybody was dressed differently. It was like a completely different day. It was weird. That's why I feel like there's something wrong with the timeline. But okay, energy. So when it felt like I was stood on a cliff top, like looking at the ocean. Like I was like, wow, it's just so, the ocean's there. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful place. But then I kept sitting, and then I thought, well, why am I seeing the ocean? And then I was in the water. I thought, well, am I in the ocean? I didn't feel. It felt like a sort of, well, I'm following energy, because I'm following the movements of where I was sort of being guided to. Because I was seeing the trash bags, and then I was seeing somebody taking out the trash, and that's easily hide a body, can't you? Temporarily. But again, you don't know who or what influence they had there too. Money, you'd be amazed at what money can buy. And when you've got influential people, that you're interconnected with, you'd be amazed at what money can buy. And when it comes to, there's just something wrong, I can still feel it. I don't like this energy. I don't feel like it was, not even going to speculate on that, because I could be completely wrong about that. Because there's something wrong with that group of friends. Even when I was connected to Madeleine's energy, I felt like something was wrong with those people as adults. I don't know what it is. I don't know what is wrong with them, or what. There's something off with their energy completely, which is why I couldn't trust them. And the fact that I couldn't trust them, it's almost like, I don't know. It was a weird in group, and I don't really like in groups, especially when they're weird like that. And I don't know why it's weird like that, but there's something wrong with and I didn't, again, reading the energy, even back then, watching the way they're all acting, there's something wrong with their energies. Energy doesn't lie, people do. I don't care what comes out people's mouths. I go with the energy. Shady, shifty. Something was wrong back then. And then I'm not being funny, but if you was to have just body language experts, real body language experts, not those paid by people they know, no, real body language experts, there would probably something wrong here. Probably did back then too, but yeah, there's energy. It's up to do with energy. And then again, the statements and the events and everything was a bit inconsistent with each other. I don't know, something. The fact that even right down to when she was being questioned, she didn't even even just thinking, looking at reading and understanding and looking back at the whole picture, she wasn't even trying to help the detective with his questions or anything. It's weird. Like, if you truly have had your daughter's missing, but you don't know she was abducted, you don't know anything apart from the fact that she was there an hour earlier, and then all of a sudden, when you go and check on them again, the children, one's missing. She could have wandered off, but they went straight to the abduction. So, and the way, even the scene, it was staged. Even the detective, again, this detective, the Portuguese detective, is an intelligent man, and he's been doing this for a long time. And it's almost an insult to his intelligence and his career that he knows when there's a scene, not necessarily a crime scene, but something being staged. It didn't make sense. So he obviously picked up on that straight away. And I didn't really want to do work on this case back then, years ago, even because I didn't want to go back to people's sort of theories and stuff. I didn't want to sort of read up and contaminate it. I just wanted to sort of go straight to the source, which is usually what I do anyway. But then again, even right down to the dogs, the cadaver dogs and everything, they know what they're doing. They know what they're looking for. They know what they're smelling for and everything. And the fact that they brought separate dogs in at separate times too, and still those dogs were made to be wrong. Who? Being the people that have changed the investigation. You're talking like Operation Grange, those people involved, those sort of investigators who just decided the dogs were wrong. Okay, then. Again, to me, that was a diversional investigation. It's like the funding was designed to divert that investigation. I've felt that from day one when they got involved. And even trying to take control and everything, it was like, wait a minute, it's not even your territory. Weird. There's a lot going on. But then when you've got the politicians involved and getting involved and all this kind of stuff, and you're just like, yeah, this is going to get completely corrupted and contaminated. We're not going to get the truth. So when you're sort of looking at the investigative evidence, but obviously because it's not concrete, because it's been diverted, but it looks like you can pretty much, it's obvious that, you know, the theory is most people's theory is that she fell off a server but cracked her head and there was nobody there because the parents were out maybe, and you know, well, again, but there's something wrong with the timeline. So did it happen like that? If it happened the day before, the situation or scenario would have been completely different. I'm just going what I'm feeling. I'm going with I was connected to the energy a few days ago. Yeah, 27th, I believe. 27th of April. I knew then, I was like, no, I don't ever want to touch this case, and I can't believe I had to be connected to her energy. I didn't want to either. But it was, again, I don't always get that choice. I usually get sent 2 cases to hit energy. Energy will get, oh, hello. Okay, come to me. So I'm just going to go with this one possible theory. If it was just an accidental death, and rather than sort of deal with the truth and, you know, because of shame and all that kind of stuff, or there was another reason why, you know, there's always motives for why, you know, things happen. God, there's too many theories with this case. And I've got so much energy, and this is like energy literally connected to Madeleine's. And I don't think for a second she's on 3D. I don't think she was from the moment she was classed as missing at all. But it's weird because when I was connected to Madeleine's energy, she was connected to her mum, and it's almost, I don't know, it's almost like she's haunting mum. I mean, obviously, your parents going to be feeling haunted anyway, still looking for the child, but not haunted like, no, just like hasn't quite left the mother's side. But if I understand energy the way I understand as well, that's why you can't keep a lie. If there was a lie involved and there was a cover up for any reason whatsoever, energy is not going to leave people alone. Because the moment, intention is everything. So the moment there was an insidious intention taking place, or rather, the thing about energy is, well, energy doesn't die anyway, it just moves to a different dimension. But if it's not at peace, it's not going to let, no energy that's not at peace is not going to let people live peacefully until the truth is spoken. Regardless of how old the energy is, it does not matter. And again, it's energy that's connected with the child too. So if there's guardians with, let's just say, for example, there's like guardian energy with Madeleine, they're not going to let, if those people lied and something else happened, there's something weird going on, they're not going to let those people live in peace at all, regardless of how long it takes. One or two will break at some point. I feel like what I was getting a few days ago is one's feeling like can't. So we don't know what's going on there, but there's somebody that wants to speak amongst that in-group. Oh, it's like the conscience is too much for the conscience. Can't. They're not sleeping well at night. That could even be a mum. It could just, but I don't know how it felt. I was hearing like friend. I'm like, okay. One of them feels like one of them wants to talk. That's what I was getting straight away. But it's been a long time. It's a long time to keep a secret. If there is a secret, right? Because this can't be proven or disproven, so you just got to go with possible, many theories. But if there is a secret, somebody in that group is not happy, is not comfortable with it. They're not sleeping well at night. The rest, if there is a secret, the rest are sleeping quite well, which doesn't say much for those people. But it's bothering somebody that was part of that friend group. And it will continue to, and it will not get easier. Like if there is a lie and there is something else involved, something insidious, there's no. I know how energy works on the other side of the dimensions, and when they're not at rest, they'll haunt people and everything. I've seen it. Okay, so yeah, I was seeing somebody taking out trash bags. That could have just been a way to sort of remove a cleanup, possibly, yeah. But now I'm wondering if she was, let's just say, for example, she had an accident, passed away, and they buried her. Happens all the time. This isn't. Look, over 80% of the people, when it comes to children that hair or disappear, 80% of the time it's by somebody they know. That's not rocket. That's just facts. It's usually people at the hands of somebody they know, or even being kidnapped by somebody they know. It's always somebody that they trust as well. It could be friends, it could be relatives, but that's just it's still rare to just be, stranger danger, stranger random abductions. It just happened, but it's still rare. Unless you're involved in like trafficking and stuff like that, it's a completely different ballgame. And child trafficking, there's many theories around that. But then you've got to look at, again, that would take you down a completely different rabbit hole. And even though people were going into that avenue, they were coming again, they're finding weird connections with people, and that just went too far out. But nothing is off the table at this point. Nothing is impossible. Until proven, until a real investigation is done properly. Like I say, this case could have been solved years ago, but the reason it's not been solved, and trying to find scapegoats is making it impossible to solve. You cannot use a scapegoat when there's proof that the person that they're trying to blame this time and this time, that they were nowhere near. Because that's just going to contaminate the case even more. It's going to distort it because it's based off a lie. You cannot make lies true. You cannot make a lie truthful. It's never going to happen. You can lie and you can keep lying. I don't know why I'm really stressing this lie. I'm focused on a great lie. It's weird. That's what the energy is. Yeah. But there's going to be no peace at all until the truth is out, until they find her. So if they, again, let's just go with the theory. Let's just say if she did have an accident and she's been buried somewhere in the area, it could be either in water or near water. I was seeing water, but it was like it's dark, so I couldn't. I knew I was in water though. It could be a lake, it could be a pond, it could be anything. It could be a cave. If there's any, no, it's weird, but energy took me there. I go with the energy. So if the energy's showing me where they are, there's something there. And again, it was weird because then it was all, and then I came out of that visual and I'm like, okay. I knew then, I thought, well, I knew then for sure, if that, I don't know. I don't even want to go with the theory that if that girl's still alive, because I just don't feel like she is. I don't feel like she ever was. I guess there's always that hurt, but energy is weird. And I don't want to move away to another direction either. I want to stick with the energy from a few days ago. So I want to reconnect because I want to go back to that timeline. I want to go back to the old timeline where I want to see if I can gather more information on what I was seeing from the trash bag, like a clean up is weird. And then we sort of visit, like, hopefully I can. Yeah. This is really heavy energy as well. I don't like this. It's really like the energy that it's keeping me connected with to the, I don't know, it dense. But that also tells me the energy is angry. Like, I'm not saying Madeline's, I'm talking about energy, like the loved ones, the guardians on that side, on that dimension, that are connected to this energy, this case, this child, and however, which way they are. They could be ancestors, they are not. They're not happy at all. And when energy is not happy and it's that angry, it's a real dense and heavy energy, you know. So hard for me to prove my sort of investigations too. It's hard. You know, if I was there, it'd be a bit different because I'd be following the whole scenario. I was there at the place, I'd be able to visually see more, follow a trail and everything. It's hard. I mean, it can be done at a distance, but you've got to really go deep. It's easier when you're a crime. Well, not a crime scene, just a missing person scene. Again, I don't really say crime because it can't be proven. Nobody can prove that a crime existed. Could have been an accident. So many things that could have happened. But normally when I want to work on my sort of cases, parapsychological cases, if I was at a crime scene, it's a bit different. Pick up more energy. Energy lingers. Energy is residual in certain places too. Especially where an energy passed away. For example, I'm not saying that's what, I'm just saying. Let's say, for example, an energy passes away at a place. The energy is going to residually linger. It's going to be a residual. It leaves an energetic mark on that place. It's hard to explain. So that's usually where I'll sort of start from and then go, like, because then I'm obviously going to start seeing the energy's last memory. Whenever I'm at a crime scene and things like that, I'm going to start seeing the last memory. Then I'm going to see what happens after what's happening beyond that. It's not always pleasant to see, but it's not nice to see a person's last memory either. But that's what I feel like I was connected to the other day. It's like the last memory was seeing this person carrying trash bags out of the apartment. Now what's going on here? Been a big cleanup, some sort of cleanup. This is exactly what it looked like and felt like. But I wasn't sure if was Madeleine in one of those trash bags. I don't know. She moved from the place, moved and put somewhere temporarily, and was she already buried before they even reported her missing or anything? So many scenarios, so many theories on this. So let's just say, let's just go with the accident theory. Something happens to that little girl, right? Let's just, I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it's true, but let's just say, for example, she had an accident, banged her head, smashed her head, unconscious. By the time, for whatever reason, she was found, it was too late, right? And then serious panic kicks in. I mean, when you think about, you go back to, I vaguely remember there was a neighbour apparently who lived above that apartment was saying that she heard Madeleine crying the night before, for God, well over an hour. So that could have been, again, could tally up with the weird timeline that I was picking up on. But that's when something could have happened. And so many weird things, just too many weird stuff about this case. But then if you sort of wanted to look at it logically, you would logically possibly just go to maybe just had an accident, and rather than part it and go, but I don't know, maybe there was too many skeletons in their closets. Maybe there's too many skeletons in that in-group's closets that none of that, it might be easier to lie, right? And maybe that way the work did too deep, but they did anyway. Why am I going there? And nothing's random when I'm sort of like connected and channeling anyway, so I'm going to let it keep coming. There could have been skeletons in the closets. Could, not was, not is, not saying it's true. Could, possible, anything's possible. Let me just, right, let me just go through this dimensional door, because I want to go hit that timeline again. I want to see what else is coming through. Clearly connected to, this feels like an older energy. Could be an ancestor. I can connect to energy frequencies, whether a person's alive or deceased. It doesn't. Energy's energy. I keep hearing earlier. It's like earlier in the day. Could be earlier that day. Earlier in the day. I'm seeing like a sports pub. A lot of drinking. But it felt like Madeleine was upset and crying all day. Like, it's weird. Like, she was just upset. And like, I just kept seeing sobbing, like just constantly sobbing and getting told off for crying. It would make her cry even more. Earlier in the day. I don't know what. Mm. There's a lot of shouting. Shouting. It's weird. It could be a memory. And then it's weird because it's like, you know, can't. I'm just gonna go with what I'm feeling, but I know what it's like in England when parents in UK, they'll, they'll hit the kids to just try and shut them up and crying. They'll give them a slap or a crack or like just give them Happens. That's not unusual. Just feel like I feel like it feels like I don't know what is going on here, but I feel like I'm being fucking throttled. Like, shut up, one of those. Weird. I don't want to go there either because that feels, but again, I feel like I'm connected to earlier in the day. I feel like a cat. Oh, God. That's why it feels like the timeline's weird. It's like a lot went on the day before. And then just darkness. I'd be intrigued to know if there was parents were arguing with each other as well. Screaming at each other. It feels like Madeleine was upset because the parents were fighting and arguing. And obviously that would be normal for children to be upset. No. I'm just seeing a scenario now. And then stop screaming, stop shouting, stop crying, and there's been drinking, there's a lot of drinking going on. So that could be a reason why the parents were arguing with each other for whatever reason. But the children are there upset because they're shouting and everything. That's why I'm intrigued to know if there's a lot of shouting, arguing between them, which would naturally upset your children. Which this is just normal behaviour. That up to that point is just normal. Parents arguing out that, like screaming and shouting, verbally fighting whatever, and kids are in the proximity and they're obviously going to be upset. It's like she was sobbing. She couldn't stop sobbing. I'd like to know why she was breathing. But it just felt like it was going on for hours. It's weird. Like, oh God. I don't want to go with that. Do you know, I'm going to because I've gone there and I'm feeling it. It's like they're on holiday, all having trying to have a good time and everything, but it's like because they've got kids and everything with them that they can't have the good time that they want. Because I'm not sure if in kids and can't even like enjoy, can't even go out and enjoy ourselves properly, because, you know, which is normal when you got kids, right? Well, that's what happens when you give up your freedom. But it's almost like the more they were drinking, the more they were just getting, and just feeling like from the parents' perspective, the energy. So the more they were drinking, obviously, they're not thinking clearly anyway, are they? The more annoyed they're getting because they can't enjoy themselves and really let loose because they've got kids to contend with. And when you're emanating that energy and you're under the influence of, and you're getting annoyed and pissed off because you can't have a great time because of your kids, that when you emanate that energy, your kids are going to pick up on that. So obviously they're going to naturally feel upset. Maybe the little ones won't, but Madeleine would, because she's young, but she's old enough to understand, oh, my parents are unhappy. Why they're screaming and shouting. Be intrigued to know if they were fighting a lot. Like if they're the sort of arguing sort of couple that constantly argues with each other over so many weird, insecure reasons and stuff like that. Be intrigued to know if, because we don't really know much about their relationship and marriage, and well, there's speculation about that too, isn't there? But I'm not going to go there. But I know loads of parents that get really annoyed because they can't go out and have a social life properly because they've got kids. It's like, well, okay, kind of, yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? But you kind of knew that when you were having kids. But of course it sucks. So when you go on holiday, you want to sort of let loose, but you still got responsibilities. I mean, earlier in the day, there's something to do earlier in the day. That's what I was hearing. Earlier in the day. She was crying a lot. But I felt like there was a lot of screaming and shouting and arguing and blaming each other because one's out drinking. I don't know. There's something going on with the parents that they're just arguing. I'd be intrigued to know if this was. Do you ever, you know what it's like? That's why I don't really like in groups and stuff, and but that's just me. But I know what it's like to be hanging around in groups, and there's always that one couple amongst the friends that is always arguing, right? Always arguing and fighting, always. And you pretty much know their relationship because they make you part of it. Do you know what I mean? I know loads of people. I know loads of couples like that. And I'm wondering, it feels like they might have been that sort of couple too, where the friends went, they're arguing again, that kind of thing. Frustrated. You don't know what the dynamics were like in that marriage either. You don't know if, you don't even know if this group of swingers. You don't know unless the truth comes out. You don't know if they were into each other like that. All of them. Like I know a lot of in groups that do that. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe that's why that phrase was coming out from energy saying friends that lie together will commit crimes together. Well, you don't know if the same group of friends were also in bed with each other too. Not saying it's true. I'm just saying you just don't know, do you? Which would cause a weird. That's not healthy behavior anyway. But each to their own. And then and then again, these sort of in groups tend to go on holidays together a lot because they're all together a lot. Right? So that's kind of what they're sort of in groups do when they're sort of into swinging with each other. And they kind of do everything together, which means they will lie together and everything. Like friends that lie together. It could be literally, it could be lying or something. And it's weird. There's something wrong with that group of friends. There's something more going on. It's weird. And it's weird. It's really weird just connecting to this sort of energy on that side there. is, I feel like it's a great lie, right? That they're all lying about something. Now, if they can all lie together for each other, don't trust anybody like that. You don't want to trust that group at all. Because if they can lie so easily for so long about something, they probably want if if you was to do a deep dive in those people and their skeletons in their closets, you might just be amazed at what you find. If there was a real investigation done on those people, if they were looked at properly, but they weren't because of who they know and who they're connected to. That's why you won't. And yeah, I feel like there's like skeletons in the closets. And I don't know if that's like literal or just secrets. Which is making me, and I can't stand this culty energy, and people, like usually when I'm connected to energies where there's a real cult feel, like a real, you don't know if the part that you don't know, and I definitely feel like they're connected to Masons, without a doubt, Freemasons. That's not rocket science, but that's so. If they're sort of connected to those sort of people, you don't know if they're part of Eastern Stars or anything in England, in the UK. You don't know who they're paying into memberships with. You don't know who they're all connected with. So, but you don't know. I'm just throwing out like possibilities here. I mean, I've heard of so many different cults in England. Many different sort of, but it's who they're connected with and who they're connected to, and who will do favors for people, each other, and stuff like that. You'd be amazed when you're talking about sort of covens of people, cults of people, that gatherings and organizations. You'd be amazed at what they will do for each other. And if there's that involved, oh yeah. Why is it coming so strong here though? Why am I, because I'm connected, so why is this energy so strong and tough? Which is making me feel like there's a deeper connection. Now, it would be natural for the parents to memorialize the place that the last saw the daughter, obviously. I mean, if I lost my child in a foreign country, or I would visit. I would probably go back. I wouldn't. Probably like once a year, just to sort of memorialize the child. But I don't know. It's weird. Feels like probably go back a lot. I mean, they may have created a memorial in that area for her. Which means, okay, so interesting. So if there's a sort of memorial site that they've just put together for her, just to sit there and remember, but why would you go there and remember her if she's been abducted? Because if it was me, if my child was really abducted, and I was convinced with actual proof, because there was no proof she was abducted anyway. That's the other thing, so many inconsistencies. But if I was convinced my child had been abducted, I'd have people, I would not be just going back to the one place. I would be traveling around the freaking world where if I hear this a sighting, I'm going to that place where that sighting's been for my child. And I don't care if there's like numerous. I would obviously have paying investigators to get me hard leads, and like if there's a good chance my possible daughter is being abducted. I was convinced by that. And then if I was suspecting like child trafficking groups and as evil, twisted psychos, I'd be finding somebody. I'd be connecting to probably my guy, but I'd be finding somebody to go in deep and like, where's the, let me get as close as possible to the evil, twisted people and let me, it's hard. You got to understand when it comes to like trafficking, human trafficking and sex trafficking and child trafficking, there's so much logistics of people that are involved in it, which is very hard to sort of find your kids and find your loved ones. But I won't stop searching regardless. If I knew for a fact, if I really believed my child was no longer in that one place, I won't be going back then, be memorializing my child there, or hoping, no, I'd be all over the freaking world. Especially with that sort of money that they've got too. I won't be sparing, no. But that's just me. And if I really, like I say, if I really believed there was an involvement of like child trafficking and being abducted by paedophile rings and stuff like that, I would be following those paedophile rings. I would be finding a way to find who they are, where they're going next. Oh God, no. I'll be doing things differently. But then again, knowing what I do, I'd be looking for them in a different way too. But the fact that it's weird, why am I going here? But the fact that they could just go back and forth, it's almost like they know she's there. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to go back there, would you? If you really believe your child might come home one day, you're not going to keep going back to the same place. Like, well, obviously she's not there, is she? She's not obviously in Portugal, is she? She should have been seen by now. I would be taking that time. I can't. There's something wrong here. But if it was me and I was constantly going back to that one place, it's because I know there's a reason why I'm pulled back. It's because I know that my child, their energy is still there. But I'm not speaking, or I can't make this for other people. I'm not making any statements. I'm just saying if it was me. God, this is a weird energy. I just don't like the level of influence of people that are involved, like who they're connected to. I don't like any of that. That's where my suspicions from day one. Like, as soon as I realised back then of who these people know and who's getting involved in it, I'm like, yeah, okay, good luck with that case. That's not going to get cracked. No way. That was obvious. That's not rocket science at all. Let me just focus on this particular. There's a friend. There's a person in this friend group, and they're not sleeping well at night. And connect me to them. Connect me to that energy and let me zone in that. See what's going on there. Excuse me. Okay, it's a male. Okay. Okay, weird. Self-medicating. Okay. Interesting. I'd be intrigued to know if there's a male amongst this group of friends that were there who's feeling bad and not sleeping at all, not sleeping properly and self-medicating. It's like burdened with something, knowledge, burdened with, again, if it is a great lie, you don't know if it's burdened by the lie. But I don't know, it feels deeper than that. Some people do have consciences, you know, some people will do lie for other people. Might not want to, but just think, oh, it's my friend, you know. No, many people that lie for the friends. It's like really weird. But I wouldn't. Not when it comes to anything like this. Like, I don't even think I don't like lying though. So I'd be like, no, just tell the truth. Like, why lying? If I had a friend, it's like, I've had it. I've had friends who've tried to ask me to lie for them, and I've even said no, not a chance in hell. Especially when it comes to them cheating on their partners, I'm like, no. I'm a real like tough nut when it comes to. So even like for my friends, I'm like, oh. So I guess, but if it was for anything like, hell no, no. If I'm not gonna cover for my friends and be their alibis, and I've had it done, trust me, for infidelity reasons and crap like that, or can you just say I was here, so and so and so and so? Like, really, it makes me lose respect in those friends. So eventually, those friendships break down anyway. Because I don't like liars. Now, if my friends will like commit a crime or anything, I'd be like, no, no, oh no, I'm that person. I'm not, yeah, and I probably wouldn't have friends for long anyway if I wouldn't. But I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen what groups of people. I know groups of people that will actually like lie about people just to destroy their lives. You'd be amazed at what twisted groups of people do these days. There's always one toxic instigator in a group that is somehow has influence over a little group of people, right? It could be sexual influence. It could just be lying, pathological lies. You'd be amazed. There's a lot of those out there. And they can convince even communities to turn on one person just by lying. You'd be amazed at what twisted people are like to do. So this is not even, but it feels like, wow, really when I was going somewhere with that, there's no reason I'd be going on and on if there was not a reason for it. Even give a scenario too. It could have something to do with that sort of, could be part of their click way. But that group of friends is definitely a clique of something. I don't like cliques. I don't trust them as far as I could throw them. Any cliques, not just them, any. Toxic people, liars. So, but it feels like one of the friends in this group has got like a burdened conscience. And that happens too, even like when there's always one or two in a group that is a people pleaser, and they'll actually entertain lies or even like go with lies, and it's weird. Why am I going here with that? Going somewhere with it for a reason. So, but I need to stick with this energy, this friend energy, because it feels like someone's burdened by knowledge or whatever, and they're not sleeping well at night. It's like they're self-medicating now to try and like sleep. It's weird. I'd be intrigued to know if that's happening. And it feels like one friend's going to talk. So that's what I got right at the beginning. Like, I got that. I felt like whoever this is, it's one of the male friends, but apparently they're just, I don't know. Or maybe they're already talking to somebody. Could be talking to somebody about just to ease the mind, ease the conscience. They even talk to a priest if they're playing that fake religious card. Be amazed at what these people do. So, something to do with earlier that day. Like I say, I was in the sports pub. There's a lot of drinking. And then it felt like Madeleine was just upset all day, like crying, like all this particular earlier in the day. A lot of shouting and arguing. So I'd been treated to know if there was a lot of shouting and arguing, maybe the day before or that same day, earlier in the day, before she was reported missing. No, she wasn't reported missing. She was reported abducted, and that's a strange conclusion to come to. Who would just go straight to that? Just because, again, well, she might have opened the window if that was the case, and it's weird the way they just went straight to the abduction, and that's the narrative that's always been played since. And there was really no evidence of that at all. Apart from what, again, just based off the investigation back then from that detective, it just looks the room looks staged. So obviously he picked up on something. And I'm going to believe a career detective, then you don't know what, but it just felt like I'd been treated to know if there was a lot of, I would have been asking the staff if they were aware of these couples maybe arguing a lot with each other, or the spouses arguing and stuff like that. Like, because you'd be amazed at what staff in resorts see and hear and everything. They know everything. You can't keep anything from the staff. But weirdly, when people are on holiday, they don't look at staff and stuff like that in that way. They just think they're invincible. They don't really. They know they're aware of them, but they just don't realise a lot of staff have been in hospitality trade. You hear everything, you see everything, you can't keep secrets. You're going to hear the dirty laundry and everything. Again, dirty laundry, skeletons in the closets. Yeah, I just feel like that might be a motive for, if there is the lie was created, it could be skeletons in the closet. But then you'd have to investigate what those skeletons are, what the dirty laundry is. That would. There's always and if something happens, there's usually a motive for everything, regardless of whether the child's been abducted, the child's been murdered, the child's been gone missing. There's usually there's a lead up to it. There's a story before the scenario, whatever it is, whatever that is that takes place. There's always a motive, a reason. Oh God, this is giving me a headache. This is it's just a bit dense energy. It's the energy that connected to it's like that. I'm wondering if there is a great lie, if one of these friends is being haunted by ancestral energy. And then you have to ask, why would they be haunted? Why would they be haunting people? And only if there was a great lie, or if there was a reason, or again, intention's everything. So if there was something purposely done for intention, we don't know. But energy knows everything. Energy on the other side knows everything. They know people's plots and plans and everything. Oh, God. And I felt like I was being throttled to shut up. It's weird that I didn't like that. I don't know what that was about. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying I was connected to the energy, and it just felt like, shut up. It happens all the time. Kids get abused and hit all the time by parents all over the world, especially when they're crying and they're screaming for so long. It happens all the time. This isn't something that would be created by them. Oh my God, shame. It happens all the time. I've been throttled by my parents as a kid for screaming and shouting to shut up. It happens. Shut up. I can see it. God, it's not, it's actually normal, but it's not good. It's not right. It's not the way, but it's still normal. I've not yet ever met one parent that doesn't give their freaking child a crack or a slap or anything just to shut, because of screaming, or they're about to lose their minds, like, can't take this anymore. Can't take this anymore. Like, I'm going to lose my shit. It happens all the time. But parents won't admit that because the shame they feel like, I can't believe I was thinking, okay, then you're just a normal parent. It's when you actually go to the extremes, but it still happens. Slap butts and everything. Hell, I don't even know what it was like. My whole childhood was like getting cracks and hits and everything. It's a bit different today because like parents can go to jail for it these days, obviously. Which, and then obviously there's the neglect factor in this too. So let's just say, for example, I'm not saying it's true, but let's just say, having to give her a crack because she won't shut up or she was screaming all day, and that would, again, it would be normal. It's not unusual. But then you've got the neglecting, like leaving the kids alone. You would never leave. I mean, you wouldn't leave your kids alone at home in your own country. So why on earth would you do that in a different country? And obviously, the backlash they got for leaving the kids alone while they're out socialising and partying and stuff like that. It's probably the one thing they didn't want to have to deal with, but they dealt with it because it's just a normal, logical common sense is don't leave your kids alone and go out and get boozed up and stuff like that. Most certainly don't do it in a foreign country. So there's the neglect, the fact that all of the parents, I believe, there was like not just their kids, maybe I believe there was other kids with these friends as well. The fact that they were all doing that and just checking up on them, like checking on them, I would not. No. That's me speaking for me only. I would not be leaving my kids alone for 2 minutes, let alone 2 or 3 hours. Hours on, no. No, that's just, but not all parents think like that. And I don't know any of my friend parents now that have ever left their kids alone. But that's, not in this day and age, not even back then. So I can't even say I know friends that do leave the kids. I don't know anybody who's got kids that have ever left their kids alone. And if they did, they've never told me. But not to go out on a night out or anything like that or leave them alone. No. Because the people I know, they're like, I would never leave my kids for 2 minutes. No way. It drives me crazy. But that's them. I'm not a parent, so. But even if I was, I still wouldn't do that. Okay, why? I feel like I don't know why it makes me, I feel like I'm being really judgmental, but I'm not trying to judge it all. It's really weird. This weird, do you know what it feels like? And I'm not judging at all, but it feels like they didn't want to be judged. Like they were so afraid of being judged. Maybe that's why I'm feeling this weird judgmental energy. They were so afraid of being judged. But when you make the choices that you do, that would naturally make you get judged. People judge. Everybody judges, right? Everybody judges people. It's human behavior. But it's almost like they don't want to be judged. But then it wasn't just like, I don't want to really be judged, but it was like, I don't want maybe, again, skeletons in the closet. But if you leave your kids alone while you're out there drinking and having fun, and you've left your kids alone, probably sedated them so they don't get up and start wandering around. Yeah, you're a shitty parent, right? That's a shitty parent. Don't care who you are. to sedate your kids while you go out. No, that's just selfish, pure selfish behaviour, that anyway. But risky. And I'm not judging, I'm just being truthful. And I think that's a problem. It's more like people can't stand to hear the truth. And it's like, oh, you're so judgmental. It's nothing to do with telling the truth, has nothing to do with being judgmental. Why am I so concerned about? I feel it's not my energy though. I'm feeling concerned about feeling like I'm judging. I feel like that's the energy they're in. Like, oh God, we're going to be judged. And they were by the world. And yet at the same time, it's like the other friends, if their kids were there and they were doing the same thing, they should have been judged just as equally, but their children didn't get abducted. It's weird. God, I went on. I feel like I went on and on and on. Is there anything else? So there's something to do with one of the friends. And so it was at the timeline. There's something wrong with the timeline now. I don't know why. There's something wrong with the actual, when she was reported being abducted or missing, whatever the word that I want to, I can't explain. It's obviously, but when she was reported missing, let's just go with reported missing at this point. That doesn't feel right. That's the timeline that doesn't feel right, because it feels like there's something to do with earlier in the day. And again, I felt like she was crying and sobbing all day. Like, and I know I've seen kids crying all day, just cry for hours. But it feels like there's a lot more going on. So that could something, You don't know if they're just like, they just had one of those days where she just won't stop crying all day, and by the time they got out to have dinner, they was like, God, thank God we've got some, just to get out and cry, quiet. Many reasons, but it just didn't end well. For whatever reason, and why. And that's where I feel like the lie is. That's why, and I don't know why, it's like a great lie. That's just sad. That went right there. And it didn't help that their friends, that again, back then, had inconsistent stories, so like, that wasn't. So, yeah. And there's a lot of red flags. And then the way it went downhill from there, didn't it? Then there was just silence and nerds going on, and people were getting involved, and all of a sudden it was, and no. And they caused that. And going to the media as well straight away, before you even found your daughter, before you even really started looking. But you know enough to believe she was abducted. Working with the media immediately, instantly, right? Probably having friends in the media, whatever. And not working with the career detective that's on the case in Portugal. And then shutting him out and not even, and then eventually this whole thing destroying his career. No, there's something very wrong with that. That's a huge red flag. That's some people's having far too much power. And when you're exercising power like that, you've got to ask yourself why. That's not hard to understand, is it? Okay, I really want to pull up this ending. I don't feel like I'm getting anything else. It's just making me feel like it's it's a normal behavior, but it's not normal. Like, it's normal, but there's more to it too. But I don't think for a second she's on 3D at all. I don't. And sadly, I don't think we're ever going to get the truth either unless somebody talks. It's weird how it felt like somebody wants to talk. They may have already talked to a priest. Like, it's possible. Okay, my throat chakra. Usually that's a sign that it's to do with communication. It's intriguing. It's possible that there's a focus on this friend at the beginning, this one who may have actually already possibly spoken to a priest, but it hasn't eased his conscience, where he's still not sleeping well. Like, maybe if this is where I feel like we're going, if this is what's happening, I'm not saying it is, it's an if. Let's just say, okay, I need to speak to somebody, I need to release the lie that I know, like, even the fact that I just voluntarily opted into lying for them just because I didn't want to see my friends getting into trouble. Many reasons why friends do lie for each other, things, but that's a big lie, that's a weird one. When it comes to it, stuff like this. Anyway, this person might be like, well, I'll unload my burden, I'll speak to a priest. Why it's possible this priest. Again, nothing's random when I'm channeling. But they could have already spoken to somebody. But it hasn't eased the burden. Like, it's almost like, oh, no, I'm going to speak to some priest because I know they'll keep it confidential. And then even though technically, when it comes to anything to do with children or anything that's hurting another human being, we even as a minister, we have an obligation. We have a right. We have to, by law, disclose that. But some priests don't, for some weird reason. Like they depending on the religion again. So it could be something, and maybe after unloading the burden of the lie, maybe it just hasn't eased the burden at all. Like, they're still dealing with the conscience of it. Like, yeah, feels weird. It's a possibility. Somebody could be feeling guilty, but to the point where they're not sleeping and possibly self-medicating just to maybe try and sleep or to block it out. That's so weird that came straight away. Like, even at the beginning, like even 3 days, 3 or 4 days, yeah, it's like 3 days ago. Friends, the first thing energy came in and said was, friends that lie together will commit crimes together. That's just extreme and weird that it will come out like that. So there's a reason for that. It's like, and I don't really want to venture on into it because I can't prove anything and I can't speculate and I can't make assumptions and I can't make accusations either. I'm just going with what energy was bringing to me. It was weird. And unfortunately, in my field of expertise, I can talk to the energy all day long and give scenarios, but can't prove any of it because it's parapsychology. But that's where the information I can get has to be taken, and somebody else has to, proper detectives, investigators have to dig deep, do the investigate. But no one's touching this case at all. No one's allowed to, especially the fact that Operation Grange controls it. Nobody's touching that. Nobody's going anywhere near it. So you're not going to get to know the truth anyway, unfortunately. And the only way is for somebody to do the right thing. There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. And I'm one of those people, like my own slogan, motto and everything is, I would rather be wrong and do the right thing than be right and do nothing at all. I mean, there's so many ways you can use that, and in life, and This is why I do what I do as a parapsychological investigator. I would rather be doing the right thing and bringing what information I get to the table and be completely wrong, but I've still done the right thing by having the knowledge brought to me by energy, than be right and just don't do anything, because that doesn't help energy. And I help energy as well as people's. Energy is energy. We're all energy, but energy on the 3D is alive, and energy on the other dimensions is just not here. It's on a different dimension. But I help energy, so I have to do the right thing, whether I want to or not. But I'd rather be wrong and do the right thing than be right and do nothing at all. I'm not into that. I don't adopt that bystander effects and stuff, and I don't keep secrets, and I don't. Well, the secrets is a bit different to just sort of. I won't lie for people, but I might keep people's secrets. It depends on what they've done. Anything to do with like children or crimes and stuff like that, hell, no. Take responsibility at the end of the day. Okay, I'm going to close out because it's just... So I'm going to close out at 9:51 p.m. Ooh la la. I can always tell when the energy is getting heavier and denser, and because it's angry and it's starting, I hate it, but my little soldier's mouth might pop out now and again, and that's when I know the energy is getting harder and stronger and angrier. I'm going to pull out because I hate having to adopt that soldier's mouth, but there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of anger, and again, when you're channeling and it just flows. It's annoying, but I'm trying my hardest to work with the energy line, not too heavy. So now, logically, I don't really want to reiterate it, but because of this case, and if a girl just suddenly appeared, or a young woman suddenly appeared now, after over 17 years, and claimed, they've already had a bit of an imposter trying to claim she's Madeleine, but DNA can rule it out instantly. But again, I would, depending on who's doing the DNA test, right, I'd probably want second or third or fourth opinions too, from outsiders, not anybody that's connected to these people, because then I won't believe it. Because you'd be amazed at what these sort of people that they're connected to in high positions and weird stuff, they can tamper anything. They have power. So I won't trust those people in life depending on it. And I won't believe anything they say either. So, and that's kind of sad, but that's what those sort of people, that's why. Now, I just don't think that's not going to happen now. Will we ever know really the real truth if there is a big lie, a great lie of all of this? No. Again, because of connections and affiliations and who's. We'll get conspiracy theories. We'll kind of continue to hear other people's investigations and things like this, but they're going to be brushed off. You understand, these people, when it comes to this Operation Grange and these people involved in that, they control the narrative. They are in bed with the media, right? It's a system. So, and you only have to watch my other videos to understand what I'm talking about, but it's the same principle. Systems are exactly the same in any country. It's not just not one country. The problem is the systems and who's involved and controls the systems. So, but they control the narratives. So it doesn't even matter if you could have somebody brings absolute proof, but it will get dismissed by these people involved that have involved themselves, that control the narrative. Because there's a great lie at play here. And now nobody that's involved themselves with this are really going to want to have that great lie exposed, because then it turns the whole investigation upside down. And then real investigation where they'll want to know where Madeleine is and what really happened to her. Because there's a great lie, there's something going on. if it was such a simple case of missing that child or anything like that, it wouldn't have been hidden, or it wouldn't have been controlled the way it was, and there wouldn't be so many red flags. So I'm just going to leave that there. I don't think there's anything else. It's sad. It's a shame I couldn't get more, but it's too closed. So, should anything miraculous happen, or if there's any updates, obviously I'll do an updated video. I'll do that, I don't mind doing updated videos. It's just, it's a waiting game, patience, and you just never know when you're going to get the truth. Or, but I'll tell you one thing about energy. Energy. When you're working with energy and you understand the world the realities, they're everything. People think, okay, well, this reality is just 3D, and this is it. I don't think so, but I can't prove that, and I can't make people believe that. But I will say one thing right now: even though a lot of influential people can influence stuff and control things, and the energy on the other side, they're a hell of a lot more powerful. They can make things happen. They can bring truth. They always bring truth to the table anyway. So, at some point, I feel like we could get to know, but I still feel like it'd be like, well, unless there was absolute solid evidence, it's always going to be, is it, could it, was it? So many different, we're always going to be looking at theories in this case, unfortunately. But energy does have a powerful way of making it happen on the different realms, because what happens on the higher realms and the different realms then manifest into the physical realm. So again, when you understand influences, energy can influence people to do the right thing, to speak up. It happens all the time. So I usually tend to just if this real sort of complex cases that can't be proven for whatever reason, it's usually people influence there. But if there are like that, I just leave it to energy at that point, because I know at some point it could take it could take a long time, but energy always finds a way to influence the truth. Because everything that's done in the darkness will always come to the light. Always. The light will always shine on the darkness, always. So what people think they can do in the shadows, that doesn't last long. Truth always comes out. I'm going to leave it there. So, other than that, take care, and I'll see you all again very soon. If you like my videos or any of my cases and my parapsychological analysis on any of my cases, I would be absolutely over the moon if you can give me a thumbs up, maybe a like, share, and all that beautiful stuff. And then obviously if you want to take a snapshot of that QR code, that is my super thanks code. That really just helps me sort of continue to make content and invest more time and energy into everything that I do for you guys and gals. So I'll be grateful if you could just give me one of those. And you can also use the link in the description box below too. Big love.